Alright, hello YouTube. This is going to be a video on pro wrestling and how to revive the product. As you all know, WWE ratings is in free fall. They seem to get a lower rating every week. TNA and Ring of Honor, now two different companies, can't keep a television network. Lucha Underground was one of the companies doing everything right. They're not even get, but they might not. Can't. Lucha Underground, I think if you ask most people, was one of the few companies doing everything right, but they might not get called back now for a second season. For what reasons is beyond me. They were getting good ratings. So here's the question: how do you save it? Well, here's how you save it. Here's how I think you could save it. That is, first, understand what wrestling is and understand what their competition is. Understand what their competition is and understand what they are, and that means. First of all, they are a television show first and foremost, and they depend upon ratings. Second of all, their competition is not NFL or UFC or any of the things WWE thinks that it is. Their competition is True Blood on HBO, Breaking Bad on FX, Sons of Anarchy on FX, fucking Vikings on History Channel, Walking Dead on AMC. And what's the other show? Game of Thrones on HBO. Those are their 6 major competitors, and that's what they need to compete with. And in order to compete with those networks, those networks and those TV shows, they're going to have to turn up the game, and they're going to have to introduce the same kind of content onto their TV show. They're going to have to introduce the same kind of dark, edgy, and taboo content. And the only way, and if they don't do that, they're going to cease to exist because no one's watching them because what they're doing is not in right now. And here are some of the stories that I've basically created, and I'm not going to be able to explain them in full detail because I don't want to take all day and bore you to death. And also, I don't think I could fit it into one video, all my ideals. So instead, let's just get to the point. Let's get to the point. One would be a True Blood, and the other would be a 50 Shades of Grey story. The 50 Shades of Grey and the True Blood will eventually become one story. I'll show you how. First, you bring in a girl. She's on there for a little while. Maybe you use Renee Young. She's already on there. Renee Young goes and she interviews another wrestler. She works with WWE Magazine, let's say. She's going to interview another wrestler coming into the company. Very much a Christian Grey type character. I have no one in mind for any of this, but I'm sure they could figure something out. He's a good-looking guy. He's got nice clothes. He's maybe not rich, but he's up there. He's up there. In terms of economics, a little bit like EC3, at least at this point. Whatever. She and them have a romantic, eventually sexual relationship involving bodies and sadomasochism. Very much like the movie. You bring them in. They do the entrance. It's very much edgy. It's very over the top. It's provocative. A little bit shocking. It's a bondage sadomasochistic relationship. Then you bring in the vampire. That goes on for like a month. You bring in the vampire. He dominates his first fucking match. And of course you give him the promos and the vignettes or whatever. You introduce those to him. Then he dominates for a month. He wins almost every match he's in. Maybe not every match. Anyways, eventually he tries to get in a relationship with a girl. And the other guy, being a bit possessive, doesn't like this. Of course he's not jealous. I wouldn't make him like that. Of course, it's being WWE, and it's the guys, they're going to have to make him abusive. But what I would do is, basically, they have a love-hate relationship, they fight a little bit. Anyways, in the end, long story short, to get to my other ideals, they become stable, and the other characters become a little bit like a vampire also. You don't have to say he bit them or anything. I wouldn't say this guy is a vampire, but he thinks he's a vampire, And it's a little bit based on Eric Northman, and it's a little bit based off Eric Northman's character on True Blood also. But anyways, they become a wrestling stable, a vampire stable, and that's one ideal. Another ideal I have is to do a drug addicted character. Now it's going to be hard to do a Breaking Bad character, but I'm going to try to do it. The character is a drug dealer. Now here's the story. Here's his backstory. One of his kids has cancer, very much like the movie, I think, the TV show, or something of that nature, and he sells drugs. It doesn't have to be meth, it can be any drug. And he wants to be not weed, it has to be a hard drug, but he wants to be a wrestler. So he doesn't have to sell drugs anymore. So some of the other wrestlers, some of the good guys, helps him get a job. and the authority objects to it, and he has a bunch of trial matches, and eventually wins and becomes a wrestler. Now, I don't know where to go from the show from there. I don't know where to take the story once he gets to that point, but that's a good idea I have. That could go for a month or two if you pace it, and you do some stuff here, and you take it out. I normally don't like to drag out stories, but this is a storyline that has to be dragged out because there's only so much you can do, but that's the way to do it. Another concept is to have a drug-addicted character. Maybe he's a sex addict too, and he could be a little bit like Suki's brother on True Blood, actually, because True Blood, there's a guy, and he's a drug addict, and he's also a sex addict, and he could be a little bit like that. He could be a little bit like that, not really a loser, but he could be a little bit like just kind of a mess, you know what I mean? They could do that, and maybe and maybe you could even kind of put him in the vampire faction after a while, maybe, you know, so that he could find balance almost, you know, he becomes a part of the group, the vampire group, I don't know. But those are some of my ideals. I would like to do a Dexter character or like a serial killer, but these are the kind of things WWE needs to do. If WWE, in a biker gang, going off Sons of Anarchy, they do a mid-card. This isn't going to be main event. They do two different biker gangs, rival biker gangs fighting one another, just like Sons of Anarchy. So that could be interesting and see where that goes. So, and I would like to do a werewolf character, and it could be like a pathological thing. You could do a series of promos where it's like he becomes a wolf, but you don't know if it's in his mind or not, and you could associate him with a werewolf, and maybe make people think he's a werewolf, and then say, well, he's actually a sociopath who has a wolf-type mind. He goes crazy, and when he sees blood, maybe he goes crazy. That could be cool, and those are my ideals, and that's what WWE needs to do if they don't want to, you know, go out of business and become non-existent. That's just my opinion. Those are the trends of what's in the culture. That's what I think WWE or TNA or some company needs to do. And if not, then it doesn't look good for wrestling, because people don't want to see the kind of PG, politically correct crap that they're giving them. I think TV shows like True Blood and so forth proves that that's not what they want to watch. We want to see violence, sexuality, cursing, blood, so forth. And that's it. So, P666.